No one really knew why Mr. Martin's suya tasted too good to be ordinary. His suya was big, juicy, and tender, with a smoky flavor that made people lick their fingers and come back for more. Those who tasted it once seemed almost compelled to return, as if something in the meat itself called them back. Every evening, his suya stand became the busiest spot in town. The crowd would jostle and push to be served first until Mr. Martin, with a proud smile, raised his voice and shouted, "Stay in line if you want me to attend to you." Immediately, like soldiers under command, the crowd obeyed. Other suya sellers grew jealous. They whispered behind his back, wondering what secret spice or recipe gave his meat that irresistible taste. Even Malam Ali, the man who first introduced Mr. Martin to the suya business, began to worry. His own customers had started comparing his suya to Martin's, saying Martin's tasted sweeter, softer, almost too perfect. Before Mr. Martin ever sold suya, life had been hard. He had tried many businesses selling foodstuffs, second-hand clothes, phone accessories, and more, but nothing worked. He was never consistent. Mr. Martin always wanted quick money, he lacked patience and gave up whenever profit didn't come fast enough. Because of this, people mockingly nicknamed him the business tycoon, since he kept switching businesses every few months. One evening, while returning from a friend's place, Mr. Martin noticed a large crowd gathered around Malam Ali's suya stand near his house. He watched people licking their oily fingers in satisfaction and thought to himself, "This Malam is making money. This one everyday business. I must learn this work." The next day, he went straight to Malam Ali's stand and begged to be taught. At first, Malam Ali refused, he feared Martin would become competition. But Mr. Martin didn't give up. Day after day, he returned, begging, flattering, even helping Malam Ali clean and cut meat just to prove his seriousness. Eventually, Malam Ali gave in. Each night, Mr. Martin came to learn how to mix pepper, how to roast the meat, how to turn the sticks over the fire just right. But deep inside, he wasn't patient. He didn't just want to learn, he wanted to take over. Soon, using the little savings he had left, Mr. Martin found a stand not too far from Malam Ali's. He bought a table, a chair, and grilling tools. Malam Ali was furious when Mr. Martin set up a shop close to his. He confronted him, expecting regret or at least some respect. But Mr. Martin simply smiled and said calmly, "Everyone has their customers. Being near your stand won't change anything. When you are good, you are good. Let's just mind our business." Malam Ali felt a sharp sting of disappointment. He walked away, regretting the day he ever taught Martin the suya business. A few days later, Mr. Martin prepared everything and opened his stand. On the first day, he fried a small batch of suya to test the waters. To his surprise, people came in droves, curious to taste the new man's suya. By nightfall, he was completely sold out. But the next day, whispers began spreading. "His suya isn't tasty. It's too little. Not worth the money." He ignored it. A week later, he tried frying a larger batch to attract more customers. But that night, disaster struck, barely anyone bought from him. Sales kept declining until nobody came at all. People complained endlessly. The suya was small, flavorless, useless. Still, Martin continued, too proud and stubborn to quit. He stayed late into the night frying suya no one bought, eating some alone and throwing the rest away. Soon, all his money was gone and desperation set in. One sleepless night, he lay in bed, exhausted and frustrated. Nothing worked. Every business he tried failed. Even this suya venture had betrayed him. "Who knows?" he whispered. "Maybe Malam Ali has a hand in this." The next day, he borrowed money from a friend, promising to pay back as soon as he made sales. With that borrowed money, he bought meat again and prepared for the day. He waited again until late in the evening. But no customers came. One day, Mr. Martin woke up fed up and frustrated. "What kind of life is this? How many businesses will I do before I finally succeed? No, this must be spiritual," he whispered. The frustration was eating him alive. The next day, he visited a pastor named Victor, a man he had heard about for seeing visions and helping people find answers. Martin poured out his heart, every struggle, every failure, every disappointment. "Pastor, someone has a hand in my problem." "I'm sure of it," he said. Pastor Victor prayed for him and then said, "Mr. Martin, nobody is doing you. God is in control. Your real problem is impatience. Be consistent. Check what you are not doing right. Meet people who have been successful for years. Be prayerful, exercise patience, and you will see wonders. Your case is not spiritual." But Martin was not satisfied. He wanted fast miracles, answers he could act on immediately. Disappointed, he thanked Pastor Victor, stood up, and left. That was not what he wanted. That night, he couldn't sleep. His mind was racing, desperate for solutions. A few days later, he met his friend Kenneth, who knew the full details of his struggles and felt pity for him. "Martin, there's a native doctor I've heard about," Kenneth said. "His name is Talk and Do. He has solutions to any problem. A friend of mine went to him and succeeded. You should see him." "No. I don't want Warala from the devil," Martin said immediately. But after much persuasion, he finally agreed. Kenneth got directions from his friend, and the next day, Martin visited the native doctor. Before Martin could even speak, the old man laughed loudly. "Mr. Martin, the business tycoon." Martin froze. How does he know my name? Still, he explained his problem bitterly. "Barber, I want this suya business to be my last. I want to make money, build a house, marry, be popular, and become the greatest suya seller in this town." The old man laughed and said, "Your wish is settled, if you have the mind. You will be known as the best suya seller in this town if you follow my advice." "How?" Martin asked, leaning in eager but wary. "Exchange real meat with human meat," the old man said, laughing. Martin froze. I don't understand," he stammered. "I have many dead humans," the old man explained. "I've used their blood and heads for my sacrifices. Instead of throwing them away or burying them, I can supply you the bodies. You will sell them as meat. Human meat is very tasty. Nobody will know. I will also give you a secret spice to season the meat. Its flavor will be irresistible and will draw people from far and near. You will come back here and testify." Jesus. Selling human meat as suya. God forbid. Martin shouted. "Nothing is evil. Life is survival of the fittest," the old man said. "But remember, you must settle me every time I supply a body for you." "I can't do it." Martin shouted angrily. "Get behind me, Satan. I will never." "Then leave my shrine," the old man roared. Martin ran off, terrified. That night was the toughest night of his life. Human meat, secret spice, great success. His mind was torn. One voice screamed, "Don't do it." Another whispered, "Why not try? You'll make so much money." 4 days, he stayed at home, doing nothing, wrestling with his conscience. Finally, after much thinking, fear, and temptation, Mr. Martin gave in to what the native doctor said. One early morning, Mr. Martin dressed up quietly and headed to the native doctor's place. His heart was beating faster than his footsteps. "Sir, I have agreed to what you said," he whispered, his voice trembling. "But I hope I won't be caught. I don't want any problem." The native doctor burst into a slow, creepy smile. "Fear not, young man. I have been in this business for years," he said with a calmness that made Martin even more afraid. Mr. Martin swallowed hard. "But, how do you even get the bodies?" The native doctor's face hardened instantly. "You ask too many questions," he muttered. Then he leaned closer. "Human beings use other human beings for sacrifices every day. I only take what is needed, and keep the meat. I have customers. People buy it. So make sure you come early to get yours." Martin froze. So people really use their fellow humans for rituals? The thought sent a cold shiver down his spine. The old man disappeared inside and returned with a huge black nylon bag so heavy that Martin's knees almost buckled. "The spice and the human meat are inside," the man said casually. "Use the spice well, and when your fortune comes, don't forget to thank me." He let out a wicked laugh and pushed the bag into Martin's shaking hands. "And next time, The man added, lowering his voice, "Come at night. After you finish selling. To avoid suspicion. And be careful, very careful, not to be caught." "Yes, sir," Martin stammered. He left immediately, walking fast, turning back every few seconds to make sure nobody followed him. When he got home, he locked every window and door. His hands were trembling as he opened the nylon. A thick, disturbing smell rushed out. He forced himself to be brave. He placed the meat on the kitchen table and started cutting it into big pieces. He washed everything carefully, preparing the meat like nothing was strange, just to avoid suspicion. After cleaning up, he dressed up for work, but his heart wouldn't calm down. "Martin, are you sure you're not making a terrible mistake?" A voice inside him whispered. Fear of the unknown crawled over him, but he still went ahead. That night, at his suya spot, he brought out the secret spice, hiding it inside a normal spice bucket so nobody would notice anything. He brushed the deadly mixture on the meat and placed it on the grill. Within minutes, the aroma filled the night air. Passers-by who were just walking home suddenly stopped in their tracks. Mr. Martin," a woman called out. "This your suya smells different today. And it's even bigger." She bought a portion, took one bite, then a second, then a third. "Mr. Martin, what happened?" she asked, her eyes widening. "This suya is different, juicy, soft, like nothing I've ever tasted." Before he could speak, more people gathered. One person tasted. Then another. And another. Anyone that took even a small bite ended up buying more and more. Mr. Martin stood there, smiling on the outside. But inside, his heart was pounding. Because he knew the truth behind the taste. Within a few hours, all Mr. Martin's suya was sold out. He was shocked. People who tasted it rushed home and spread the news. The next day, his stand was filled with people waiting for him even before he arrived. Mr. Martin was pleased. His suya never wasted time, it always finished. Every night, after work, he went to the native doctor's shrine to pick the meat he would use the next day, giving the native doctor half of his profit. Within a few weeks, his suya became the best in town. People came from far and near just to taste it. He made so much money that he built a house, bought a car, and started living large. Ladies now wanted him because of his wealth. Those who once mocked him now praised him. Other suya vendors grew jealous, wondering how he did it. One even asked where he got his meat, since they had never seen him buy any in the market. Mr. Martin would simply reply, "Mind your business. I buy mine like all of you." To avoid suspicion, Mr. Martin began donating money to churches, orphans, and widows, earning people's trust. Then one night, tragedy struck. He went to the native doctor's shrine as usual, only to find it locked. Nobody came out. The next morning, he returned to find it still locked and soon heard the terrible news. The native doctor had died in his sleep. Mr. Martin was devastated. He didn't know what to do. Luckily, he had a small amount of meat stored in his fridge, enough for only one day due to his large number of customers. The secret spice could last months, but the meat was the real problem. After selling the last of it, he could not open his shop. Customers knocked at his door, and he pretended to be sick, and said he would open soon. One day, a lady named Judith, who had a crush on him because of his money, came to visit him. One thing led to another, and they made out. While she slept, Mr. Martin's mind was consumed with desperation. A dark thought whispered in his mind, why not kill her and use her as meat? After all, it was the same as what he did with the native doctor. Scared but desperate, he struggled, strangled her, cut her into large pieces, and stored the remains in the fridge. He cleaned everything to avoid being caught. After that, he resumed selling suya. Whenever the meat finished, he stayed home. Any customer who visited to check on him, one thing would lead to another. And he would kill them too, using their bodies as meat. Sometimes he lured children with free suya, took them inside, and used them as meat. News of missing people spread, terrifying parents and the community. Nobody knew what had happened to them. Mr. Martin continued making money. He refused to hire workers, as he did not want anyone to see the meat. His suya was always sold out, always cheap, and always in demand. Malam Ali, His master, who had taught him the suya business, was suspicious. He noticed Mr. Martin could stay away for days and then return with plenty of meat, selling it cheaper than anyone else. Malam Ali vowed to uncover Mr. Martin's secret, determined to find out what was really happening. Mr. Martin had grown addicted to killing humans for meat. The money he was making had gotten to his head, and his heart had turned as dark as charcoal. Though he was earning well, he remained restless, tormented by terrible dreams. Still, he couldn't stop. His addiction had completely taken over him. The entire community lived in fear. People whispered nervously about who might be next. Parents warned their children not to wander outside. Even when Mr. Martin stayed home, no one dared to visit. The streets were eerily silent. But Mr. Martin, desperate for more human meat and more money, decided he couldn't wait any longer. Since nobody was visiting, he pretended to stay home while planning his next dark move. That evening, he drove around town. Every woman he stopped greeted him politely but refused a ride. Frustrated, he was about to turn back when he saw a young lady walking alone on a quiet road, carrying a tray of fufu she couldn't sell. The tray, balanced carefully in her hands, immediately caught his eye. He slowed down and stopped beside her. "Auntie, good evening. You still have fufu?" he asked, pretending he wanted to buy. "Yes, I have," she replied, bending slightly to adjust the tray. As she adjusted it, a dark thought whispered in his mind, "Hit her. No one is watching." He glanced around. The street was empty. As the woman bent a little deeper over the tray, Mr. Martin struck. With sudden, heavy force, he overpowered her in an instant. He strangled her weak cries into silence and dragged her into his car. He threw her into the boot and drove off immediately, leaving the tray of fufu behind on the lonely road. But as he hurried home to dismember the body, he noticed traffic ahead. "Why this traffic now?" he muttered, panic rising. Peeking out the window, he realized it was a stop-and-search operation. News of the missing persons had spread. Desperate, he tried to blend in as a passerby. But fate had other plans. A police officer was walking straight toward his car. "Ogre, have you been searched?" the officer asked. "No, sir," Mr. Martin replied, his voice trembling. "My papers are complete, sir." "Even if they're complete, we were ordered to search." "Allow me to do my job," the officer insisted. The officer approached, suspicious. Mr. Martin's hands shook. Suddenly, a cry pierced the air from inside the boot. "Help! Help! Police! Police!" The officer immediately ordered him to open the boot. Mr. Martin hesitated, and a heavy slap followed. When the boot opened, they found the woman weak but alive. "Jesus! What is this?" the officer shouted. "Sir, it's not what you think," Mr. Martin stammered, knowing his end had come. He tried to run, but the police shot him in the leg. Collapsing, he and the woman were rushed to the hospital. When he regained consciousness, fear gripped him. He knew what awaited him outside. Eventually, he was taken to the police station. Beaten and broken, he confessed everything: the killings, the terror he had brought upon the community. The news of Mr. Martin's horrific deeds spread through the town like wildfire. Shock, fear, and disbelief gripped everyone. Whispers filled the air, and people prayed quietly, hoping the meat they had eaten hadn't harmed them. Some were so terrified they rushed to the hospital, trembling, desperate for thorough checkups, their hearts pounding at every thought of what could have been. Malam Ali felt a strange mix of relief and worry. He had long suspected that Mr. Martin was hiding something dark, but now he feared the future of their suya business. Who would dare buy from them after this? Who would trust them again? The community believed justice would finally be served. They imagined Mr. Martin rotting in a jail cell, his evil deeds punished. Because of his atrocities, Mr. Martin was sentenced to hanging. Locked away, Mr. Martin awaited the day of his execution, burdened by the weight of his greed and impatience. The town could finally breathe again, proof that evil, no matter how clever, never escapes justice. Moral lesson: greed, impatience, and hasty decisions destroy lives. Be intelligent and stay consistent in your efforts, because illegal shortcuts may seem fast, but true success takes time and will surely pay off. Always be careful about what you eat and consume, because eating the wrong things can bring serious harm. If you enjoyed the story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.